Hey, everybody. John Gums here, going live with Dakota Grappler. Just coming to you tonight to talk some wrestling with Bill Holtan. We also got a couple guests popping in here in a bit. We'll have Blair Kelley from Minnesota coming in. He's a ex-Jamestown wrestler. He's the original starter of the Guerrilla Wrestling Club in Bismarck. We're going to talk some what's happening in Minnesota tonight. We're also going to have a NDSU commit come on after a little while. Clay Radenz, going to interview him, and we're going to see how that goes. Basically, we got so many good things to talk about when it comes to wrestling, and then we got some good and bad news usually. And the bad news is that we had to pause practice, but we'll talk more about that as it goes. How you doing, Bill?
I am fantastic. It's the little bit of a downer on the season, kind of getting put on hold, but I'm my default position is still going to be try to be positive and hope that it comes back and we can kind of get restarted. I know I talked to one of Carrington's top wrestlers today, and he was still smiling, but he was pretty sad. He told me, he said, he's kind of missing practice. He said, had a good week of practice, and then that happened. So, but we had some great wrestling to watch over the weekend, and there's some really, really exciting stuff coming in the future. So
it wasn't Michael Clifton by chance.
It was not Michael Clifton.
Oh, because I'm so excited to see, because he developed so well last year, and he's just a junior. He's the same age.
He is, yeah. And he had a great football season too. No, Michael's a big, strong kid and looks great. No, it was Treston Lura.
Oh, okay, another one.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah, one of the other returning finalists. So yeah, Treston, he's hungry and ready to go. So I look forward to a good season from Treston if we can get kicked back off. So.
Well, I tell you what, my boy's big. I'm hoping he doesn't meet Michael Clifton early.
Oh, yeah. Well,
they might be close to the same weight. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see much crossover between Class A and B this year. So.
I don't either, which is sad. But I tell you what, here is what I know right now for High School Activities Association. I'm just going to say a couple things. Well, basically, we have a situation where in North Dakota, the wrestling has been postponed. In fact, all winter sports, they are, if you didn't know that yet, for both North and South Dakota that are listening tonight, they're allowing the fall sports to finish out and fall activities. So it's not just sports, it's speech, it's debate, it's all the things that happen in winter: basketball, hockey, gymnastics, all those good sports that, you can do, and they're worried about the indoor. I talked to the secretary for the governor in the state, and basically one of them, and told me that right now they're worried about occupancy in hospitals more than anything. And they would hate to have an incident where a high school kid gets injured and can't get into a hospital or endangers other things. And they also have some considerations for some of the sport just being more inside than it is outside. They took a few precautions during the fall for volleyball and a few other things, but for on the record, they're hoping that everything stays calm, and that's how we are. We just know we want the numbers to go down in the state, and we've talked about it for several weeks now. And the whole promise, let the kids play is a big thing that's going on in the state. I'm a member to watch what's happening on Facebook. I did sign up for it, but I don't think I'll make any comments unless this continues on much past the December 14th. Then the High School Activities Association came up with, I got Clay coming in. So I'm going to pop Clay in right away, but I'll tell about, hey, Clay, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, pretty good. I'll introduce you here in a second. Let me finish my last little statement. And the High School Activities Association came up with a little guide and a series of when people can actually start first events. They actually put that on today, and they said that wrestling will be allowed their first week of practice and not have to continue with a new start of the new 9 practices beforehand. So the official first date as of today from the High School Activities Association is December 21st is the first time they can actually have a competition. So it's actually 1 week after the restart, hopefully. We'll see what happens there. And then the basketball, actually, since they have not got their practices, it'd be the following week. They say the 28th of December could be the first for those second week starting sports. Okay, well, I'm going to introduce you, Clay. Clay, he's a Century wrestler. He's on the board with me up there now as a state champion in the Century room. He is just a senior. He's been around. This is probably, you've been on varsity since your freshman year. Is that correct?
8th grade year.
8th grade year, you got some time in. Definitely. And besides, he's Bill Holtan. If you don't know him, he's from Carrington. He's actually got a wrestler at Northern State. And so we've been talking wrestling for several years now together, and I'm so happy to bring you in, Clay. In fact, I've never really got to talk to you one-on-one, which is kind of interesting considering we're in the same room many, many times. But interested to learn some things for you tonight, Clay. One of my biggest things that I'm so proud about is that you're going to go to my alma mater, my NDSU team. I thought that was a pretty cool signing. And you're having a chance to wrestle D1. My first question for you is, when did you first decide at what age you wanted to probably wrestle in college?
So probably I kind of wanted to wrestle in the college. Like one big thing I always looked into was like D1s, like all like since every kid's like, oh, I want to go to D1s one day. And probably like 7th grade year, I came into the high school room and got my like ass kicked every day. But then, you know, like I and there's like guys in the room, or like, you know, when I was a little younger that were like both like Hunter Babick and like Hunter Ecker and some like those guys I always looked up to, and like Mason. Sure. And Mason was like getting into college and stuff, you know, and like that kind of sparked me a little. And then like I started getting really more into wrestling 8th grade year. That's when I really started to pick it up more so. And then like I got third my state my 8th grade year. And then that lit like a fire under me, because it was kind of just like oh wow, I just did something, you know, kind of cool. And I was like, now I want to, you know, go to that next level. And then I got second at state my freshman year, and I was like, man, you know, lost a good kid, Reese Barnhart. And then sophomore year, I lost again in the finals to Lakin Bays, and like that like just drove me insane, like just hardcore. And like I like put in like an insane amount of work from like that point on, because like I've been working with like Justin Dakota a lot lately, or like, you know, like for like how many years, but he's like super pushed about like getting to that next level. And like my dad's been like, you know, if you want to get better, and like Darren Holmine also, if you want to get better, you gotta reach that next level. And so then you know, kind of coming into like freshman 8th grade year was like when I really started like getting into like I want to wrestle college, and kind of like waking up, you know. And then I really started pushing like the last like 2 or 3 years to try and get to that next level. And
so when you are getting ready, are you a 6-month wrestler, a 9-month wrestler? Have you turned it into almost a year-round wrestler?
Pretty much year-round. Like this summer, I had practices almost 3 days out of the, like, you know, 7 days a week. Working with like one guy I worked with a lot over this summer, or like just last year, is like Darren Holbein, and like he's like kicked my ass every single day that I've wrestled him. And, you know, I'm lucky if I get a takedown here and there, but like he's taught me like an insane amount. And then there's guys like Justin that like we have a wrestling room in our shop, and he came out and coached practices out there. And then like now we got the Gorilla facility, you know, so we've been scrapping there some. And then there's like, you know, like Nate, our coach, like Coach Nate, he came in. He's been pushing us a lot more lately, you know, to really get us out there to wrestle. So yeah, it's kind of been like one thing I've like, you know, during this whole quarantine stuff is like I've been trying to go to as many national tournaments as I can. And like, so I went down to South Carolina a couple weeks ago, or like a month or so ago. Got my butt kicked, but that was like a super good experience. And like just like being there and like seeing guys like Drake and Allen, or, you know, Drake Allen, like guys like that are the like best in the US wrestle. It's just like complete mind change, you know. And it kind of opened my eyes up, like, you know, I gotta actually like do this to become this good, or, you know, I gotta like change what I'm actually doing to be better. And like, you know, just getting around. And then I went to like South Dakota I won like 2 national tournaments down in South Dakota. So I just been kind of trying to get as many nationals in as I can. And like, you know, I'm a guy that likes winning trophies and stuff. So like, I love winning big trophies and medals. Like, not gonna lie, like I'm big into that stuff. It's just like, yeah, I won that baby. And then so that's another reason I like going to national tournaments and like wrestling all year round, pretty much.
Okay, well, here, Clay, beside you that just popped in, that's Blair Kelley. He's actually the guy who started the Gorilla Wrestling Club. And so got him on tonight. He is my age from Jamestown. Actually, you might be you're younger than me.
You're a little older than me, John.
You're 90 grad?
I'm
Or
a young, ripe age of 46.
Oh, you're even, oh boy, you're way younger than me, 4 whole years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
but
actually, I'll give credit, John. Kenny Gabriel was the one that started the Gorillas.
Okay.
It was a small club, and then he didn't want anything to do with it. He knew I wanted to grow it. I took it over. I ran that for about 12, 13 years, and I moved to Minnesota, and Justin took it over and has done a fantastic job with that club since I left.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'm going to introduce you, and we got a lot more questions for you, Clay. I know Bill's got some, and Blair probably has some for you too. And so we're going to keep you very busy tonight. But I'm going to introduce again up on the top right. If you don't know, you probably watch a couple Blair, but that's Bill Holtan.
Yep, I know Bill.
Yep.
Bill's a great dude. In fact, he's the guy that knows more wrestling than anybody I know, especially at the college level. I just love it. Every time I listen to him, I'm amazed what I hear too. And then Blair, I've known you for a long time, but I've wanted to get you on this show for a couple of years now. And what happens is, you start separating by distance. Sometimes you just miss each other. We catch each other on Facebook. I'm impressed. Blair is a self-motivator, and he actually motivates a lot of other people. I've listened to his stuff forever. I wish I had the dedication he has to do some of the stuff he does. So introduce yourself, Blair. Tell them a little bit what you're doing, where you're at, and your connection to wrestling in North Dakota.
Yeah, well, for those of you who don't know, it's about 14 years ago now, I moved out to St. Michael, Albertville, Minnesota. My wife was from the area, so it was kind of an easy move for us. And to be honest, I lucked out and kind of fell into a wrestling hotbed. As you know, we're a national powerhouse. At one point back in a couple years, 4 or 5 years ago, we were ranked as high as 3rd in the country, and constantly battling for state titles out here. So have a great feeder program, makes my job a lot easier. Connections to North Dakota. I grew up in Jamestown. So that's, I know Bill, and I still follow that area of wrestling, Carrington. I had some battles with all those Carrington kids when I was growing up in the early 90s. I didn't win many of those battles. There were some tough kids back then, Jason Anderson, Aaron Larson, all those tough kids. Graduated. I wrestled for a year out at Mary. It didn't fit for me. Got into coaching immediately. I was blessed enough to know Randy Wilson from Mandan. He got me in to run their freestyle Greco club. And I ran that until I got a teaching job in Bismarck. And then I got into officiating and, coaching at the middle school at Horizon, and then, running that Gorilla Club and helping out with the junior cadet national team for about, at least 10 years. So it was a good run out there. I don't do as much coaching with wrestling out here because, a lot of the guys, they have those satellite camps, like they got Pinnacle out here, and David Thorne runs a lot of stuff. I think Clay's been to some of his stuff. And then Jake Deichler lives. We're so blessed. Jake Deichler, former Olympian, lives in St. Michael, and he's opened up a new school of wrestling. So there's tons of opportunities for those kids out here. Gives me more time with family, but I miss it. I miss the grind. I miss officiating. I miss coaching those freestyle Greco kids because that was just fun. Good experiences out on the road. I love to hear Clay said he likes to go to those national tournaments, man. Iron sharpens iron. That's what you got to do. You want to be the best and you want to go D1. That's what you got to do. And I love the fact that he's honest. I got my butt kicked, but you know what? You learned. And that's the best thing because you'll keep going. I know you will. So hats off to you, buddy.
Definitely. Bill, let's get you asked some good questions here.
Yeah, no, I agree with what Blair said. Clay and going to those national tournaments, it's not just, and you are sometimes going to get your butt kicked, but that's what makes it easier down the road to be able to walk into the arena. It doesn't matter. Then it doesn't matter who you're wrestling against. That's, I sometimes will fall back on our experience that, the Billy's had and our, just going to Fargo. I think that, we watched Zahid wrestle here the other night. Billy's first or second match at Fargo was against Anthony Valencia, so, we watch those things happen and even going into, just before senior year. We went to the JJ Classic, and Billy bumped up. You know, he was coming out of football season, of course, and not in shape. He was in football shape, and he, you know, he said, well, I'm going to wrestle 170. I said, well, you know, who's Mark Hall's going to be at 170. He's like, that's okay. What else am I going to get to wrestle him? You know, and it's that mindset came from years of going to those tournaments, right? And not being afraid of who you competed with and not be afraid of losing. And if you can walk onto the wrestling mat at any level and not be afraid of the outcome, just, you know, going through and want the process to be enjoyable and giving everything you have, that's when you're going to be successful. And you know, we've watched Clay for several years, right from as a youth wrestler in the Guerrillas all the way through. You know, one thing that you mentioned that really struck home is taking third place as an eighth grader. You know, you see kids that once they take when you see, you know, if you would have taken second place as an eighth grader, we all think, man, that's awesome. But when you take third as an eighth grader, you won that last match, and next year you really get hungry. It really lights that fire. And I've seen that happen so many times where we've had, you know, kids that have, you know, placed eighth or didn't place, and all of a sudden they place third, and the next year they win it. And it's just something that triggers in the mind. And when you mentioned that as an eighth grader, that it really kind of set me apart there, that's something I see a lot. So, you know, I'm excited to see Clay at the next level. What's your thoughts, Clay, weight wise? What do you think you're going to be when you get to NDSU?
So like naturally right now I'm walking around at like, after practice around like 150, but normally like 155, 158 ish on like, you know, the good days when I eat breakfast and stuff. And or like, you know, go to McDonald's. I love McDonald's so much.
Needs a sponsorship already.
Oh yeah. But my plan is to go 41 for the first couple of years. I've talked to Kish and those guys, and looking at going 41 for the first couple of years, and then, you know, maybe bumping up if I get bigger,
right,
the next couple of years after that. But
yeah, great. Yeah, that's kind of where I thought you'd probably fall in there. I think you're great size, great for as a 41 pounder. I think you'll be a good fit there. I can't wait to see what happens.
How was it making 38 going down there?
So like I spaced. So I weighed 158 starting cutting, and I broke that out throughout a month or so, or like, you know, around 4 weeks ish. And I got down to like 145, and then I was stuck there for about like a week or so. Like a week out, I was stuck at like 145, and then I started, you know, trickling down like a pound or so each day, and then I got to 140, I would think, and then it like, you know, then I could tell that like I was losing some weight, like really, like I could feel it. I could feel way more, and then once I got down to actual weight, I got down to weight like, we flew out, so I weighed in on a Friday. We flew out, I want to say Thursday morning, yeah. And then we flew out, and I got down to weight, I think Wednesday night probably. I got right on because I wanted to go down and kind of, you know, like, you know, not have to really do much. I still went and ran and stuff because, you know, I wanted to like keep my conditioning up and everything, but I didn't want to like, you know, kill myself a couple days before. But I could definitely feel it, but it wasn't the worst thing in the world though. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's good because I think you'll be very solid this year at 45. I honestly think you'll have a very fun year at 45. As I look across the competition in the state, you know, of course, you're going to be the top dog at whatever weight class you want to step into. But, you know, I look at the competition as people grow, and 45 suits you very well for the season.
Yeah, I'm excited. I've been lifting like, you
sure.
can go.
Oh, that's fine. I know you've been lifting, so you're much bigger, but I also see your brother weighing the same thing as you. I was hoping your brother would stay smaller than you, but he's actually a bit taller, you know, but I tell you what, that's another guy that you're grooming. I could tell he's always been kind of a wild card in my book because he wrestles different than people. So that's what surprises a lot of people is he doesn't wrestle normal. So he's always one of these guys that's dangerous. He can pin you from almost any position. He could be down 12, and next thing you know, he's pinning you. So what kind of work are you doing with your brother? Are you doing a lot of on your feet? Are you working your moves, or is Darren helping him too?
So like most of the time when we wrestle, honestly I just kick the shit out of him.
No.
like I just it's no, me and him, it's not, we don't really wrestle. It's more of a
brother fist fight.
Who can beat the other kid up more kind of thing. But one thing I feel, because when I was younger, I was notorious for being funky. I thought that was the thing, that was cool. Bryce Meredith. And I was a kid that was big into scrambles, and I could always win those. And I could out scramble a ton of kids, and then funk stuff. And I still throw that in. And then my brother is just a different breed. He's just he went out at he lost his first match at state, and then he wrestled the same kid for 7th and 8th or 5th or 6th, one of the two. And he pinned the kid in 30 seconds. So the kid lost to, or earlier that couple days ago.
Right.
And then at WDA, he threw McClanahan in the second period. And, yeah, no, we do a lot of with Holbein, we do a lot of on our feet. One thing we really do every day, when we wrestle with him, is we do shots, but we don't finish them, because it helps teach us, to get into the motions and into the positions that we want, and then we're not finishing it, so we're not messing up. So that's one thing he's taught us is working shots but not finishing them, just so we get that positioning right, and then so we feel comfortable in our position before we're finishing it. The finish is just a
right. And Darren hasn't got into his legs yet, because Darren was phenomenal with his legs.
Oh yeah. One thing he's taught me is tilts. I've gone the just
cross
simple
cross
arm
arm
wrist. I can turn almost any state finals. I turned McClanahan on in the second period a couple times. But no, just he's slick guy. He shows us a lot of things, little slick, turns, tilts, all that stuff. He's really good at that stuff. And then that's a series that goes back to his Mandan upbringing. Actually, it's one of the Darren specials was a cross wrist, bottom wrist, and then running a lot of the different tilts off of it. You've got so many different finishes you can do. Oh yeah. That's one, if there's one move that he's probably emphasized a lot, is those easy 2 tilts. Because literally, you go they sit right here with their arm. All you gotta do is grab one, and then it's up, boom, and it's super simple points.
Yeah, definitely. So, if you had to work on one of your positions the most, what would you think right now you need to start to perfect a little better, especially at the high school level and then beyond high school?
Definitely on bottom, I feel or because I always, I don't know why, but when I'm on bottom, I always the first 5 or so seconds, I almost sit there and I kind of just get a feel for what the guy's cooking, and then I start to build off of that. Or in a lot of close matches, Kale Swenson, I was winning that match in the Rumble, ended up losing because I didn't do much on bottom. And then another thing is sometimes on my feet, I'm slower than what I want to be. So that's one thing after Super 32. I've been doing an insane amount of footwork and stuff like that. So I'm quicker on my feet and lower on my stance and stuff like that. But I'd probably say bottom right now.
Sure.
Because in college, I'm just that's where kids get worked at a lot. And so I don't want to sit on bottom when I get on with those guys, especially with riding time,
Yeah, that's one thing that we see a lot. It doesn't matter what level you guys are at, when it comes out of high school, because a guy like Clay or these top high school kids, they don't get ridden, right? I mean, they don't spend much time on bottom to start with, and because they overmatch a lot of their opponents. So and at the college level, that is where we see everybody struggle at that first year or two. So you're right on. Looking at that is something to move forward with. So keep working on that bottom game.
Yeah,
Bottom game and
I like
hand
what-
fighting.
See, you don't get to see the comments come up. I almost shouldn't put this one up because your dad's got a question.
Yeah, I think he
What?
needs it. You know.
Yeah.
Ask Clay how he feels when his brother does pin him.
There's one thing that my dad, like, I kid you guys not, if we went to nationals like 2 weeks ago in South Dakota, and Cole ran into like a 2-time Wyoming champ, like quarters, and he ended up losing. So if he would have went if he would have won, we would have wrestled. And my dad walked around like the whole arena, almost telling everyone that if there's one person in this bracket that's going to beat Clay, it's going to be Cole. Everyone says it. Like my dad said, like if we run into because there was a talk, me and Cole talked about how it'd be pretty cool to both make finals at 45, and it'd be some people would be like, oh, what the heck,
Yeah.
watching two kids run out in the finals, and then my dad's like, yeah. Funny thing is though, Cole's gonna beat Clay, and
Well, I can imagine your guys' dinner at Thanksgiving. If that happened, I guess a little stab.
Well, it's we got like me, Cole, and then my cousin Trenton started wrestling last year. Almost made state his first year wrestling. So and Trenton, he thinks because he's bigger, he's like a 195, 180 guy, and of course he thinks he could take us. And then
now is Trenton at St. Mary's? Is that?
Yep.
Yeah, that's the one. Okay, yes.
He actually goes to Shiloh, but their co-op is St. Mary's. So
Okay.
he goes over there and wrestles, and he's a big football player and picked up wrestling this year and last year and likes it a lot. But
the Melmers will do him right. They'll get them ready.
Oh yeah, but Cole walks around the house thinking he's like he's a big guy, and then I'm a guy that always I mess with everyone at our house. Like I try to pick fights as much as I can, and Cole never fights back, so that's the thing.
Okay.
I intimidate him.
He's saving it for the state finals.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be crazy having two brothers in the state finals? I'd rather see him at his own varsity spot, but how that works sometimes. It was amazing last year seeing you guys both place. That doesn't happen where you get two brothers place, in the same bracket, and that's pretty cool. That's one of those things that gives me goosebumps. I wish I'd have had a brother. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah. Blair, you got any questions for him before I start asking you something?
Yeah. I do. Hey, I want to go back to, like you said, you lost in the state finals it was Reese Barnhart, right? Stud kid, obviously, and you're a stud kid too. And you said that really drove you. How did you change your training? Because this is the one thing that people will say is, well, I lost in the state finals and now I really need to change what I'm doing. What did you do to take that step to that next level? And how did you remain dedicated to that? Because a lot of kids, it's just lip service and they don't follow up. So how did you do that? How did you take your game to the next level and let the kids out there know that it can be done?
One thing I got big into was running. I thought, because I'm a believer, if I can go out and run 10 miles, I can go out and I have the better endurance than any kid in the state. And but I've been I picked up running. I ran an insane amount over the summer. I'll go out and run out with the Tanafus or anyone that wanted to go work out. Another thing is I got big into lifting. Recently I really got into it, but trying to get bigger and stronger was one thing that, because there's guys out there that are just like Reese. I always thought of him as he's way stronger than me all the time when I would wrestle him. He's a ripped kid. And so I wanted to be that. So then, I was like, I got to put in that work to be that guy, And then, I started running, lifting, and then wrestling with harder guys, or picking up the pace. So instead of taking a kid down, taking 10 seconds to get up, instead I'm taking a kid down 2 seconds to get up, take a kid down. And then working with Riley Zachmeyer a couple times here and there, I'd work with him. And he actually taught me a ton of mentality stuff. I want to go out there and break the kid, or we did the drill a ton of times. Me and him did this drill where he gave me 5 seconds to score on him, and if I didn't score, then I had to go run 500 600 meters or whatever. And so then stuff like that, little things like that, where it's almost I'm trying to break myself and then kind of like build myself back up, you know? And then like
Perfect.
confidence is I felt like I needed a lot more confidence. And then I got the experience, like I got to go down to Olympic Training Center after that season. And I got to meet with Jaden Cox when I was down there. And one thing he emphasized, like he said it like I swear 100 times, was know your worth. And that kind of struck me. And he's like, like you just got to know your worth, like what you put into and how you go out there and present yourself, and how you've wrestled in the past and everything, and what you are now. And so that's one thing a big thing was like confidence booster. I started to think, and like no matter what, if I'm gonna go out there and win or lose, I like when I'm warming up or listening to a song, I'm like, this kid can't compete with me, like this kid can't compete with me no matter what. Like, just kind of a mentality like that. That's another thing that I considered after like losing those state championships was, I'm better than these kids and I have to believe it. And then if I believe that, then I can go out and I can, beat them.
Man, you have some solid words, Clay. I tell you what, that's pretty wise. I tell you what. Now,
how you carry yourself on and off the mat. I love your moxie. I love confidence is key in a lot of things. You don't come off to me as cocky and arrogant, which sometimes kids can be. But I love how like you are very devoted to the sport. I'm sure you sacrificed tons, which is what champions do. So congrats to you on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Now, what does it mean? I really see you're stepping up as a team leader. You're taking a few of the younger guys under your wings, and that's something that's really big in my mind. I see your senior leadership really stepping up right now. What does that mean to you right now, being a team leader?
One thing I like that recently like really hit me. Like, there's a couple of kids in the Guerrilla Wrestling Club that like I really like, get along with good. Like Brandon Height, he's like, young prodigy kid, like a lot of potential.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's like other little kids like Tucker, a bunch of those kids, they look up to me so much. Like anytime they see me, they come and give me a hug, stuff like that, and that kind of opens up my eyes. And then you go into the wrestling room and there's a bunch of kids, that are like kind of, newer or, less experienced in a way. And they see you, go out, kick the crap out of a kid. And they're like, oh man, I want to do that. And then, you kind of pick them up under your wing. And, you kind of like, one thing I've wanted that I like, or like I like doing is like boost, like saying like little chirps, like in practice, like when like we're tired or doing lives or something. I'm like, like, man, this is awesome. Like, this is awesome. Like stuff like that. Like I love wrestling or like hyping kids up in practice and stuff. I love doing that kind of stuff, or like, talking and stuff like that, having fun. I love doing stuff like that. Or there's like, there's other kids in the room that also like, I feel like are big team leaders is like Ben Wygum.
Mm-hmm.
That, me and him, like personally, like he's put in a lot of work and he's gotten really good. And like a kid like him, he's like pushed me an insane amount lately. Or like Danny Tanafu, another good kid that's like really pushed me. So like kids like those, they're great to have in the room. And then, it's just like confidence. If you tell your team, we can go kick the crap out of these guys several times, like drill it into their head, they're going to think we can go out and actually do it instead of, just the theories or, just the thoughts of actually doing it. But like one thing I've really picked up over the years is like, especially like the last year or so, 'cause, sometimes you get drained wrestling, and like I've hit some points where like I feel like I'm mentally or physically drained, and then that's when I always come back to why I love this sport, or like I really try and turn it into how wrestling is fun. So I always play like I'm usually DJ in practice, so I usually try and play like fun, music that like gets kids moving, having fun. I always like picking on kids, in practice, because that's just kind of my like way I like having fun. And that's
Sure.
one thing I've emphasized is always having fun in wrestling, because when it comes down to it, like, when I was a kid, that's why I did it. It was because it's fun.
No, that's so true. And I'm not sure about your music choices sometimes, but every once in a while, what's interesting, you're very eclectic. You got the countryside, and then all of a sudden you bring out some, classic rock. I've been in that room many times where you'll bring out some crazy music.
Yeah.
And I thought that was Darren Hobine's music. No. Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, I try and like some days we have like, pop, some days are country, but not many of the kids are really liking not many kids like country. And like, I've heard it from the team. And then, like we have like our rock and all that kind of stuff.
Here's a good James Porter says, talk about a leader down South Dakota. He took my son in to help him warm up and get him ready to wrestle, and even gave him some pointers in his matches. Definitely a leader of North Dakota wrestling. That's a pretty good comment, James Porter. Very good.
Another thing is like my dad. My dad loves getting into the wrestling and stuff. And so like when we're at like these national tournaments and my dad actually like gets to step on the floor and like he thinks, like he's like, he thinks he's on the like Olympic level coaching now. Like, when he hits that floor, I kid you not, like he thinks he's Olympic level. And like, I love when my dad's down on the mat because he always has fun. And like prime examples, like in South Dakota, my brother was going for 3rd and 4th. And me and my dad were like, told him to do like this funky little move, and we called it the spinach roll, or like we yell out random foods like do the twister, or like do the corn dog and stuff like that. Like stuff like that is always fun in wrestling.
Well, you got to mention what your brother's nickname is.
Oh yeah, my brother's nickname is Nacho.
It's food for some reason. Your dad is one of the funnier parents we have on the team. He's pretty much quite the comedian. I've had a few adult beverages with your dad over the years. It's pretty good.
Yeah, he loves he just loves picking on kids. That's the thing. Yeah, he's another reason that it makes wrestling fun, because like I've never had my dad once ever tell me if you do bad, you're gonna you suck. He's never told me I suck. Maybe once or twice, or when I walk in the house, he says I look ugly and stuff. And so does my mom.
I don't know what you do with your hair sometimes. No.
Yeah. I just got a haircut today. It was starting to get kind of long. But no, my mom and dad, they've never really pressured me.
Just big supporters.
Yeah. They've never turned me tell me no, or I suck, or they always build me up. When I lost down in South Carolina, my dad was like, well, I mean, we got to see the beach this weekend. Stuff like that,
it's staying positive. That's always clue. I tell you what, if there's a parent out here listening to it, that's so key for wrestling, because it's so mentally draining. It's physical. It's hard. People don't know what kind of battle you have to do within yourself, and then you have to battle somebody outside the picture that really doesn't know what's going on. Parents, really listen up close, because your kids just need your support. That's all they need.
Yeah, that's exactly. It's refreshing that you can remember back when you were a kid and it was fun.
One thing that does drive me crazy though is my mom is big on this. Is she asked me what my weight is.
They want to know what you weigh every day.
Any parents out there that their kids wrestle, just please don't ask your kid what his weight is, because me personally, it drives me insane. And you don't need to know that. That's for me to figure out myself. I don't it's just something I hate, getting asked, because I already know it. Why do I just need to tell you?
Yes, yeah, your dad probably needed some ice cream, or was that you?
Oh no, that was me.
That's pretty good. No, so I'm gonna actually, Clay, not to neglect you, I want to ask Blair a couple questions. So Blair, tell us what's happening in Minnesota wrestling right now. Give us a little update in that kind of realm, because North Dakota, we've talked about all of the craziness for about a month straight here, and I just want to hear what's happening in other places.
Yeah, if things were normal, I'd say your top 3 teams, and I'll speak AAA, would be Stillwater, who is the returning champs. Shakopee would still be in there. They're still tough. They lost a lot of kids. Some kids transferred back out, and Jackson resigned this year, retired. We'd be a solid 3rd, probably fighting maybe Wayzata to get into that state tournament. Our section got a little bit tougher, but with COVID, the governor just pushed back everything 4 weeks today. And I truly think that if we have a season, that it will start in January or mid-January. So I hate to be realist when I say this, but I truly feel we'll be lucky to have a season this year, which is so sad. It breaks my heart to see all those kids, how hard they work, having that taken away from them. I hope it doesn't happen. I hope they allow things to go forward somehow, some way, even if it's like a 6-week season, let's get it done. You can make it work. But I see a lot of kids like Clay traveling around to those national tournaments. David Thorne and Jake Deichler, I talked about that. Those guys are out running camps, and they're not getting that stuff from those camps. They seem to be safe. So I'm not sure where all this is coming from. But, Minnesota is, Clay knows, he's probably wrestled quite a few kids from Minnesota. It's a very competitive state nationally. He mentioned the kid from Wayzata, who was, I think, 43-1 last year, and Clay was ahead of him in the Rumble. And that kid, Cale Swenson, and he's a stud. And so the fact that you were there with him shows you're pretty tough. You're a pretty tough kid, Clay, because nobody in Minnesota really even gave him a match. I think his only match he lost was not a state kid. But we're competitive, and it's good to be in St. Michael and have that tradition. We still battle hockey out here big time. I don't know what that's like out in North Dakota, but we're considered the state of hockey, so we kind of try to battle them all the time and try to get kids. But it's all about starting young and having fun. If you can loop and Clay touched on it himself, and if you can loop those kids in that youth wrestling program, and we have fantastic youth coaches. You take a guy like David Thorne, who is a multiple All-American at the University of Minnesota and runs his own, Thorne wrestling camp down in Odin, Minnesota. He can come in and work with our kindergartners, and he's one of the most amazing technicians, and he's such an energetic personality with those kids, and it just transitions. And Clay's worked with him at camps before too. He's phenomenal, and we're so lucky to have that kind of guidance in our area. And then we have a good freestyle Greco club. It's called High Flyers, and that's run usually by ex-Minnesota wrestlers or current Minnesota Gopher wrestlers. So, the McKee brothers, who are from St. Michael, they help run High Flyers. So it's just, we have so much knowledge and expertise out here that it just, I try to get those kids to realize, I grew up in Jamestown, North Dakota. We did not have a freestyle club until I was going into my junior year of high school. So I would go to all these freestyle tournaments. I wouldn't know what I was doing. I would wrestle folk style basically, and then I'd get on top. Why is this guy doing this? I had no idea, and you try to show those kids, here's opportunities for you to get better. If you want to get better, here's what you do. Tournament every weekend, literally within a 20-mile radius. If you're a little kid, if you want to go, you can get 50, 60 matches if you want to. It's just crazy. So it's definitely different from what I'm used to in North Dakota. It was a learning curve for me out here. I'll be honest, a lot of the kids, because they worked with former Gopher wrestlers, when I came in, they're kind of like, who's this guy? Tommy Thorne was a 6th grader when I came here. And, really, what are you going to coach, Tommy Thorne? And I got Mike's little son, Jackson, coming up into the middle school too. Like Jackson Thorne has wrestled in more national tournaments than I have. What are you going to teach kids like that? But, you just teach them to respect, and, it's all good. I love it. I love coaching. I love being around kids, and I'm the kind of coach where, excuse me, got tickled. I expect a lot out of you, and my expectations are high, and I will let you know what those are. And if you're not meeting those, I'm going to call you on the carpet on it, and then we'll figure out how to way to get there. But we're going to have fun in the meantime too. So everyone has their different styles, and it's worked out here for me too.
So in the junior high, who's your main competition at junior high level when you're wrestling?
It's really different out here in Minnesota with your junior highs. We typically don't have middle school sponsored sports. In North Dakota or Minnesota. Sorry. Most of their middle school sports are what are called community ed based. So community ed is like they run all these extracurriculars. St. Michael's lucky enough, we do have middle school sports. So when we compete, we're competing with our old conference teams, which, you're looking at Buffalo, Monticello, Cambridge, Isanti, some of those smaller towns. And to be honest, we get such good numbers. I can pull 35, 40 kids, in 7th and 8th grade, and we're going to wrestle Buffalo, and they have like 9. So it's kind of a waste of time for us to go have a duel with them. So we have traveled to Wisconsin to go to duel tournaments. We'll go all the way down to Owatonna, get in some, multi like 5-man round robin tournaments so we can get down there and get some matches, from some of those tougher teams. We don't have like a middle school state tournament like North Dakota had, which I loved, partly because we won it almost every year when I coached at Horizon. We had some salty teams back then. Holy cow. But and we have a 9th grade league. Like that's something that North Dakota doesn't have. Is we have a specific 9th grade state tournament, which is amazing for those kids. They have their own dual meet season and a conference and a section. They have to qualify individually and by team. And it kind of sets them up, how our state works, because we're a little bit different on how we do our qualifications than North Dakota does. If you're top 2 in your section, you make it to state. Your team has to win your section. So you could be in the toughest section. I remember there was one time in Apple Valley, and I don't remember who else was in their section, but they had like 3 guys that were ranked top 3 in the state in the same weight in the same section. One guy stayed home. So middle school, it's just, to be honest, we do really well. We don't lose a lot of matches in middle school. The tougher competition gets when you get to the high school, and your Stillwaters, your Shakopees, Wayzata's really coming around. But we're pretty top tier, and I don't mean to brag when I say that, but we have a phenomenal coaching staff, and you're looking at, we got 2 or 3 Division I wrestlers on our coaching staff at the high school. You just can't ask for more, and they're good with kids. I mean, just because you're a good wrestler doesn't mean you're a good coach. And these guys are good wrestlers and good coaches. So it's phenomenal to see on a daily basis during that season.
Okay, well, awesome. Because I was really wondering, I know you guys have so many coaches, because I was looking at your staff many years ago, where 7th grade coach, 8th grade coach, 9th grade coach, sophomore coach, it keeps going junior, and then there's multiple assistant coaches in varsity, and I'm looking and I'm going, Blair's still in there, and so there's the hierarchy, but man, those names were phenomenal when I looked in your coaching staff, definitely.
We are so blessed out here, John, and we get parent volunteers, we get alumni that come in all the time, and I know other schools do too, but they come in and like, hey, our coach can call one of our old heavyweights and say, hey, can you come in and work on some stuff with this guy? I had Parker Betts, who was a former Greco national champion. He used to work with us and come in and work with our heavyweights. He wrestled at Northern Michigan for a while. Everybody knows his brother Chaz. He was an Olympian. He's now in the WWE. Those guys will come in and help, come in some morning and work with so-and-so for an hour, and they don't ever say no, and they don't ever ask for it. It's phenomenal,
Wouldn't that be nice, Clay? Get a couple Olympians in the room.
Yeah.
Well, he has a pretty good coaching staff at Century too. Those kids are, Nate Human was one of the hardest workers I've ever coached. I had him as a gorilla. Darren Holbein, I coached him in Mandan. He was, Darren wrestled at Concordia. He was a stud too, and you have a good staff there too. So
Darren was a lat toss away from being probably Mr. Wrestler. He got pinned.
I would agree.
And on his undefeated, he'd have been Mr. Wrestler too, just like, it'd have been back to back. Him and Steinwan and Holbein were basically the dudes in my room at Mandan. Yes, definitely.
Oh yeah, like me and Holbein and Devin Schultz, we always used to like sit around and talk and everything. And Holbein always told us about how I think he got like 1 or 2 takedowns on Steinwad, and like it would become a fight. Like like those guys like got after it like insane, and like it was a battle every single day against us.
Well, they refused a couple weeks straight. Darren took him down once, and then I remember it was about the second week of the season, and basically Steinwan said, "I'm going with nobody else because I'm going to beat him for 2 weeks straight," and he wasn't going to go with anybody else because guess what? I got to pay him back. I don't want to spend any other energy except on him, and And Stein won. If you guys don't believe it, I tell you what, you guys that are North Dakota fans, you don't realize how strong that kid was. He is so physically strong, and fun to watch. He was another guy that, got to wrestle at NDSU and then did some wrestling beyond there. But, he's the head man-dan coach right now. I'm hoping he's listening too tonight. Love to have him on. I haven't had him on yet.
I feel like I've coached everybody in North Dakota. That play.
Oh, yeah.
You're
okay. Well, Blair, tell us what you're doing besides teaching. Now, do you do some motivation stuff? What kind of pushes you to that?
Well, I'll be very honest with you. When I was growing up, I did not have a lot of self-confidence. And that's one thing that Clay touched on. For some reason, I was a self-doubter. And a lot of that is, I think, just that we didn't have the mat time. And so like I got into lifting weights really hard after like my sophomore year, because I lost to Darren Geezy in the quarters. Darren Geezy wrestled in Nebraska. I think he was an All-American at juniors or whatever. But I gave him his closest match. I think it was 11-5 or 11-6. He still kind of kicked my ass. And then I went into the quarters and I just kind of shit the bed. I lost to a kid I should have placed as a sophomore. And that really drove me. I went to a lot of camps and I got into lifting and, so kind of the same story with Clay. I lost my junior year to mono. And so that, sucked. Went on a cultural exchange trip to Mexico, and, you learn a lot of things as you go. And I look back in hindsight and I think, how can I help people today to become better versions of themselves? I'm big into lifting weights. I run a speed and strength program here in St. Michael. I coach all of our high school hockey kids, which is weird. High school hockey kids with all their speed and strength stuff. It all correlates though, and then I shift into middle schools, and then I've done the high school girls soccer program. And so I'm always really trying to just my goal in life is, I don't care who you are or what sport you play. I want to make you the best version of yourself that you can possibly be. One of the things that I've done, Clay talked about breaking himself. Every Friday morning in the summer before COVID, I would gather a group of about 15 kids in, and we would do these insanely intense, sometimes like CrossFit style, whatever type of workouts. And there were like certain rounds, like we go, okay, here's what we're doing. We're doing these 16 exercises. We're going 5 rounds. So of course the kids don't want to lose to me. And of course I'm competitive still at age 46, and I don't want to let those 17-year-olds beat me. So of course, as I'm going around and I'm doing cleans and jerks and pull-ups and box jumps and wall balls and all this kind of stuff, as a 46-year-old guy, and I'm ahead of them, of course I'm talking trash to them the whole time, right? And so you get in their head and you can see just kind of how they break. And then afterwards, when you're done, you sit down and you talk about, okay, where did you mentally fail? Where did you mentally fail? And how do we get past that? You didn't believe in yourself. And that's the main thing, so I've kind of gotten into, I went through a rough patch last couple of years with a bunch of surgeries, and a knee surgery and a shoulder surgery, some other things. And I got out of shape. I wasn't happy. And back in September, I just said, you know what, I'm done. Made a video one day just out of the blue. And I had like 5 messages that day, like, holy shit, what you said today resonated with me so much. Can you do more? And so I do. And I get a lot of messages from people today.
Almost every morning I listen to you, Blair, if you don't know that.
Okay. Well, it's good. It's good to hear. I like that people are listening to those. I'm having trouble getting it figured out with my Facebook story now, because they only let me do 20-second clips now.
They're about 5-6 in the morning now.
No, I know. So if you just search my Facebook profile, you can go on there and find them. So I'll figure that out eventually. I'm probably going to start a YouTube channel of my own. But I've always been like, I want to give back. It's the teacher, the coach in me. I've always been very dedicated to whatever craft it is, whether I coach middle school football too. I hate to lose. Like I honestly, like, it's 8th grade football, but I hate to lose, right? Like, I don't care. And I want to instill that in those kids. I want them to believe in themselves, and I want them to grow and learn and just trust that they can be better. And so that's always been something that I've always really kind of held close to my heart. I don't know. It's still working. So I'll keep doing it until somebody tells me you're an idiot. And of course, people probably think that anyway about me, which is okay, because it's all about believing, and I believe I'm helping people. So I hope I am.
I don't know what something about the best athletes. Something about in any sport, it's the hate for losing more than winning that really drives people to work harder, to know that guess what, I've got to beat that person so much. And I don't know, it was instilled in me from kindergarten on. There wasn't a time I liked to lose.
No.
I don't know what you Clay. What drives you? Oh, now what kind of your days? Do you get up and still run every morning? Do you kind of do 2 a days for yourself? Do you try to get what's your extra motivation right now? Because you've already signed. What's going to push you through the season?
One thing like I know just me personally, I've seen it in the, several kids in the past, and they sign, and then they stay content with I signed, I'm good, I can I'm going to the next level. And that's one thing my dad's told me so many times is you're gonna go into that room and you're gonna get your butt kicked, and you gotta keep going, because I don't want you to stop and just be content with what you did. And so that's one thing that pushes me. And what you guys were saying is I hate losing so much, so much. It's unbelievable how much I hate losing. And yeah, kind of I just want to be better. So usually probably once or twice a week I'll go get up in the morning and run. And then I go to school, and then I got gym class and weights and stuff in school. And then I get done at 12:30, 12:45. And then me and my buddy Mason, he pushes me all the time. He's a hockey player. He's one of my best friends. And he pushes me an insane amount. So we go and lift for an hour or two, straight after, right out of school. And then I do that every single day, even when I have practice. And then I'll go, do whatever, and then go to practice most of the time. And but yeah, but one thing Blair talked about was he was doing little CrossFit kind of circuits. If you want something that's gonna teach you how to control your body and break yourself, and I did CrossFit for 3 months, for 2 years now. I usually do a couple months out of wrestling season, and I the CrossFit place I go to is CrossFit Territory or whatever in Bismarck. It's a newer place, started 2 years ago, but the coaches they have there, you get in tough workouts. My first day I went there, the first day I went there, we did this workout where it was a circuit, and you had to climb these ropes, and my arms were insanely burnt after that. CrossFit is just something where it's you're gonna feel it, and you got to put in the work to complete what you're doing, or to be able to compete with other people at CrossFit, which is something I definitely would recommend all kids should do it, or at least try it a couple times, because it's something that definitely it helped me improve just overall being an athlete. But yeah,
being tougher mentally.
Yeah, exactly. Because some of those people you guys can throw down, and I me personally, I hate losing, so it's it's, and some of those guys there actually compete, and the head person that owns it, his name's Danny. And there's a scoreboard every single day, and when I got there, Danny won every single day. He was the best, and I beat him once. Actually in one of the circuits one day, and I was yeah, I did that next day. Next week, 2 weeks, he kicked my butt every single day. So stuff like that is pretty fun.
Motivated him.
Oh yeah. The thing is though, so there's sessions. He was always the first session at 3:30 or whatever. He would do his workout, and then he would do a little teaching, because he also he runs the gym and is a trainer. But he would do his actual the circuit, at 3:30. I'm coming in at 4:30, 5:30 usually, and so I would never actually see him, And then that day I beat him. The next day he actually came into my group at 5:30. To see who beat him, because he didn't really know who I was, and he had to check it out, and then he ended up beating me that day by 10 seconds or something. But pushing myself was pretty cool.
Do you see that there,
Yeah.
Clay?
I think I got more hair on my head than Justin.
Oh, I tell you what, I love it. No, I tell you what, we're already sitting at an hour. That's Clay. You've got such a great future. I hope you stay as humble as you are, because it's such a great thing to hear somebody at your age having the wise, background. And this really shows when Clay is saying, being a single sport athlete just isn't enough. You have to do so much more. You have to stay, if it's getting on the mat and doing Greco or freestyle, but guess what? There's more than that. There's the weightlifting, there's the cross training, there's other things that motivate your brain and your body at the same time to become a complete person, a complete athlete. So you just listen to these people. That's what they say.
Like one quick thing on that is like I did track, since I was a freshman, and like freshman sophomore year, or like freshman year, I went in the track just doing it for fun. My mom kind of made me talked me into it, doing it, because I was like a iffy, and then I do hurdles and like 400 like relays and stuff, and then sophomore year I ended up placing 4th at state in the 110 hurdles, and I was supposed to place in the 300s, but I fell in prelims. But like doing a sport like track, where kids are like, it turned my mindset completely around, because I'm not the best kid at what I'm doing now. I'm like, I'm I'm not winning every time. So it's like it pushes you, think of like, oh wow, I'm in a different situation kind of thing. Track is I love that sport, because it taught me so many different things.
So true, definitely. Well, Bill, let's talk just a little bit of senior wrestling before we cut this out, because we're over at an hour. If you need to cut out, Clay, feel free. If you've got homework, you can stick with us. We've got more questions at any time. We're probably going to go another 10, 15 minutes. How you doing, Blair? Are you okay too? Everything?
Yeah, I'm good. I won't fall asleep till 10.
Hey, Blair, I do have one question, and I could be wrong about this, but was another St. Michael Albertville Jamestown connection in Greg Greeno? Was he involved in the wrestling program in St. Michael too?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So
I thought so, but
Greg and I, we go way back. Like the Greenos, Greg Greeno taught me how to swim at the in the Jamestown College pool that doesn't exist anymore, when I was 4 years old. And he tells everybody that story. Greg and I actually coached middle school wrestling together for 3 years here in St. Michael. After he resigned from the head job, they begged him to come back because nobody else would coach with me. Nobody wants to coach middle school. They all want to be in the high school room. As John said, we got 20 guys on the coaching staff at the high school. And he and I coached together for 3 years, and he's just so knowledgeable. There's a Jamestown St. Michael connection. Yeah.
Yeah. I know obviously that goes back a long ways, but Greg was a clinician at the very first wrestling camp I ever went to, which was
I believe it,
a long time ago. He was just, I think he was just out of college at the time.
Okay.
So that was, which was at Jamestown College. So
here's another St. Michael Jamestown connection. Do you remember Mickey White?
Yep. Yep.
Okay, Mickey White coached at St. Michael for about two and a half years when I first moved out here, before he and his wife moved up in the Brainerd area. We had 3 Jamestown guys on staff.
Oh, they all thought that Jamestown was a hotbed.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Well, that's that's one thing I thought I remembered seeing that, and I think at the time I was living in Duluth, and I thought, man, that Greg, is there now. He did, it was I don't want to say how long ago it was, but he definitely left an impact on me at the time. So that was great to see.
Yeah, he's an awesome guy.
Okay.
Good.
Well, good deal. Well, I want to talk about the big college match. I don't know if you got to guys see it this weekend, but we had a Burroughs and Zahid matchup that went on that I loved. I tell you what, it was a great night of wrestling. Tell us a little bit about what your analysis is there, Bill, and then we can go from there a little bit. Talk about a few of the other matches.
Well, it was a great match. It was just if you would have had to draw it out, that's probably how you would almost expect it was going to go. Zahid was going to attack, and he scored early. That first duck under was slick, and it was just nasty. But you could probably figure that that Zahid was not going to be able to turn Jordan from the top. And then after that, he's going to have to hang on. And Jordan, that Zahid was working hard to get to be there, to be in shape, to be ready. But I don't think he's ever felt anything like Jordan Burroughs. He gassed him. Jordan hit. I don't know. There was 2 or 3 doubles that Jordan hit on him that he just ate. He just took them and pushed them back, and it was. But Jordan just kept on coming and kept coming, and I kind of felt that in the third period, if he would have needed to, I think Jordan could have got another takedown.
He could have rushed him again. He could have probably rushed him again.
Yeah, it was just a great match. Christian Piles on the mic that night said, geez, that was 20 minutes of wrestling packed into 6 minutes. And that was exactly the way it was. I mean, there was that much activity, they were going at it. There was never any, there just was very, very, it was just fun to watch.
I didn't realize that he had such a good duck because he came one way and then ducked the left. That first duck takedown. He's fast for a big guy.
Yeah, he's quick. Well, it's funny. Zahid had a really kind of I'll say it as a late growth spurt, but he was, as a sophomore in high school, he was like 112 pounder. And a year later he was wrestling 174, or 170 in high school, and so he wrestled like a little guy forever. And he's quick and he's slick and he's powerful. And he will be, he's going to be trouble at the senior level at 86 kilograms. I don't think he's at David Taylor's level yet today, but he's good. There's no doubt about it. And Jordan just showed why he's the king. That sprint at the end, he just keeps coming. And I think I still want, we still got to see that. We want to watch that Kyle Dake Jordan Burroughs match come April, and
sure,
and it's gonna be fun. It was a good match. And Zahid was way bigger. I think he weighed in 6 pounds bigger. So he's just bigger. So, and Jordan had no problem with the size, really. It was a kind of a typical Jordan Burroughs match. It was really impressive. Fun performance, fun to watch.
Right. How about any other matches from the night? I'm trying to think. Well, I thought Allie Regan looked really good. She was dominating.
Yeah.
And then who is the other one? I kind of liked the Berger match for a long time, again with Sasso.
Yep.
But Berger looked tougher than I thought he was.
No, I think Tyler Berger's going to be he's going to be a force to be reckoned with at 70 kilograms in the once we kind of get through this Olympic cycle. I don't think he's there at 74, but he is Jordan Burroughs' everyday training partner.
I did not know that. Okay.
Yeah, and if Jordan makes it to the Olympics, he's taking him to Japan. So that obviously is helping. That's obviously helping Tyler too, and but he looked really good. I kind of thought Sasso might win that match, and I really the wild card for me going in was Tyler Berger is quite a bit bigger than Sasso, but the size had nothing to do with it. He just looked good. He just was better. He was solid. He was offensive. He looked really good.
Oh yeah, that's Tony for you right there.
Yep, there you go.
You guys can read that.
Yep. So that was a good match.
There's like that.
Henderson.
Oh yeah, Evan Henderson and Enchamendia. Henderson is getting better and better all the time. I think he's going to be right in the mix at 65 kilograms. Enchamendia is good. He's young. He's going to be a really good at Ohio State. We're going to get to see him wrestle again here in December. A couple matches, so that'll be fun. But he, he's kind of a, we were talking the other day. You were talking about flow videos you should go watch. There's a video on Anthony, which is really kind of fun to watch. He defected from Cuba and showed up here and
I did watch that. I watched that.
Yeah, so it was, he was. We've only get to see him wrestle a couple times. I did get to see him wrestle in Fargo. I did get to see him wrestle. Who was number 1 last year, and he looked like a man amongst boys. But Evan Henderson looks really good. I think he's going to be right in the mix at 65 kilograms. But that's another one. He's training with Kyle Dake. He's training with Yanni. He's got Mike Gray as a coach. That's just goes to show you the room you're in really makes a big difference on elevating your performances. So really good. Besides that, the Greco match, you had two great Greco wrestlers, but one was obviously way bigger than the other. Didn't end up to be in that competitive a match. It was a fun night of wrestling. It went pretty well. The Kyvan Gadsden
got hurt.
That was too bad to see. He looked good, got a nice takedown. Him and Colin Moore ended up.
Now, did they get anything for this one, money wise?
I'm sure they did. I don't know what.
I didn't hear anything on that.
Yeah, it wasn't a payout like obviously some of those guys still had college eligibility left, but it was not a payout like
that makes sense.
Yeah, like the 8-man brackets, and they they obviously have another 8-man bracket coming up in December at 150 pounds. But prior to that, they announced an RTC tournament. So you're going to have six RTC teams going to wrestle.
I did see that.
That is going to be probably as much fun as anything we've seen all year, and that actually has a lot of money on the line, right? Was it $200,000 or something? And those the teams, they announced them: Cliff Keen, so that'd be the Michigan club, the Ohio RTC. Spartan Combat, that's Cornell. So we're going to see Kyle Dake. We'll see Yanni. We'll see Evan Henderson, Gabe Dean, all those guys we've been talking about. The Wolfpack RTC. So that's North Carolina State. And the New Jersey RTC. That's going to, and I think James Green's going to join in there at 65 kilograms. So, and the Gopher RTC. So we're going to get to see, Gable Stevenson, get to see Mitch McKee, Zach Sanders. I think Evan Wick's going to jump in on that one, coming over from Wisconsin to wrestle with those guys. So
that's going to be quite the event.
It's going to be really a lot of fun. I think what they're going to end up doing is have 2 3-man groups, and have a little round robin there, and then break them out into brackets. So that'll be a lot of fun. I think it's December. I got to look here to make sure. December 4. Well, what the heck was it? December. Yeah, 4th and 5th. So 2 days.
Okay, that's not too far down the road here.
No, and that's actually before the 150 pound 8-man group. So that'll be a lot of fun. And then we'll talk about the UWW U23s and juniors, but before that, just so we don't forget, next Tuesday, the Badger RTC Wisconsin club is having their event, and that will be we'll get to see Kyle Berwick wrestle. So that'll be next Tuesday night. The big match there is going to be Gross and Bryce Meredith. So part 2. So that'll be fun.
Boy, so we got some stuff to look forward to. Let's talk just a little bit. I know we're running on time here. Let's talk just a little bit about the U23s, because it's hard to get into that one because we had some local success there. I watched 2 of Berwick's matches. Man, I tell you what, he looked good and had such a great opportunity to make actually the semis, and I was impressed to what he was bringing to the table. I think he went 5-2 on the weekend.
I think he ended up 4-2.
4-2.
Made the quarterfinals, and in his quarterfinal match, he lost 8-8. He was behind 4-0, came back, storming back. He attacked, and that was the way he wrestled in all the matches. I'll say the last match was a little bit different, but it was a little different kind of a wrestler. He was wrestling kind of a real long, tall kid. He had a hard time, getting to him. But his first 5 matches, he was attacking, and he was on top of guys. He literally looked like he was wrestling through the Class B season in North Dakota. Just Clay, kept attacking and attacking.
You wrestled Berwick, Clay?
Yeah, twice in my high school career.
And how close were the matches?
The first one I got pinned in the end of the first period. That was at Mandan Lines, and like I already knew I was gonna beat. But then come around, I wrestled him in the Rumble finals, and like he was like kind of hurt because he wrestled like Mitch McGee, or not Mitch, but like
Patrick.
Yep. One of them in the semis and beat him. And then so his knee was like already banged up a little, and I wrestled him in the finals, and I was down like 2-0 after the second period, got a reversal. It's 2-2, and I'm like I'm in this match. I'm wrestling against Kyle Berwick 2-2. And I'm like going into that match, I actually felt like I could have beat him, to be honest. It was just one of those things where I needed to hype myself up to like where I can, compete with him. And like I already kind of like, knew it was coming now. So like I knew I had to wrestle. And so it was like we got in a scramble because then he went for a reversal in the third, and I got stuck in like a weird scramble position. But yeah, you're in it. I wanted to wrestle that guy. Like I wish I would have wrestled him like 5 more times. Because like each time I wrestled him, it made me adjust and figure out like how to compete with a good kid like that.
Yep, I believe it. Yeah, so Kyle had a great tournament, I thought. I mean, I thought, he was one match away from placing. He was seconds away from being in the semis. He really looked good. I was impressed. I was happy with the way he performed. I'm sure he would have liked to have won all of his matches because that's the way he is, but he obviously fits in that room down there. Did a great job. A little bit of local flavor. Northern State had I don't know, 5 or 6 guys that went down. Ollie Loyola, 197 pounder, wrestled 97 kilograms there. Made the finals in Greco at U23 and took second. Took 8th in freestyle. Injury defaulted out of the final match, so hopefully he's not hurt too bad. But it was good to see him down there and competing. That's a new guy on the Northern State team. He's a transfer in from Cal Baptist. And then who else? Another one that really should be mentioned is Dane Morton. Was at 61 kilograms. That's a Minnesota kid that's really performed pretty well for Northern over the years. He wrestled 61, and he went 5-2. He kind of ended up in the same spot Kyle did. He lost a little bit earlier, but came back and had a pretty good round through the wrestlebacks and really had a good showing and a good tournament. Those brackets 57, 61, 65, 70. 74 were all really, really tough. 86 was good. So it was good. The other thing I guess we probably should mention, and we didn't see any Bison wrestlers there. The Jackrabbits had quite a few. Most of them in the U23s. I don't think they had many. They wrestled juniors, but they had a bunch in U23s with 3 placers. Tanner Sloan won it. Looked really good. I think he's going to be right in the mix, to be one of the top 2-3 kids in the country at 97 and 197 pounds this year in the college season. So, Justin just mentioned Sophie Smith placed 4th. And I did watch some women's matches. I did not see as many as I usually will see. So, I know Emily Shilson was there and did good. Her brother did good. He placed also. So it was a good tournament. Mitch McKee won it at 65 kilograms. He looked like a beast. He really looked good. Patrick McKee took 7th. I did not see I saw all of Mitch's matches. I didn't see all of Pat's. I saw Pat's 7th place match, and I think one other. There was a lot. One thing that kind of stood out to me, there was some really good high school kids that were mixing things up there in the juniors with some young college guys too. So it was a good tournament, fun to watch. Obviously I couldn't watch the whole thing. But I saw quite a bit of it. I kind of had, you put a alert on your phone and see that Kyle's coming up or one of our, we had, Wyatt Turnquist, a young kid from Northern, went 2-2, commendable event. So I was happy to see those guys down there scrapping, and it was fun. Good tournament.
Okay. Well, I do have a little bit of news for you, and then I'll ask these guys those last questions of the night. But in the upcoming future, I've actually put an invite out to a couple different people. I'm hoping to get Randy Lewis actually to come on in the near future. I've got him as a Facebook friend and as a friend who's actually been on a Dakota Grappler subscriber for many years, and I've kind of put some feelers out there. Hopefully I can get him on. I've got Terry Steiner coming up not too long. I can have him on again. I've got I'd like to get Milo Trusty. Actually, I'm getting a hold of Monty Trusty and probably get both of those on the same night. And that would be a nice little interview to have in the near future for you guys. Find out what's happening in Colorado wrestling. Also, Jim, I still got to get Jim on here from Makowski from Mankato State. I've got several other people. Jeff Schumacher, I had him in line last year, and then I just got to make sure the technology's good for him to be able to get on. I'd love to talk to Jeff and see what's happening there. We got all the coaches in North Dakota. You got a free invite to come on. We got a whole month until we can go. And so just keep your eyes out, guys. If you guys have anybody you want to hear, I'm going to do more high school guys. I tell you what, Clay, I've enjoyed this so much tonight. You've got such a bright future ahead of you. Now I'm going to do some quick questions for both you and Blair to ask my quick fire questions, rapid fire questions. Okay, you guys can both answer these. Okay, your first question, you guys, Clay, I'll let you go first, and then Blair, you can. Okay, Gatorade or Powerade?
Okay.
Gatorade, 100%. You can't go wrong. Cool. Hands down best.
Same. Gatorade.
Okay. Popsicles or dilly bars?
Popsicles, probably.
Popsicles.
Okay, because guess what? The first time I saw popsicles in the wrestling room was in a gorilla room with you there, Blair. You bring popsicles to wrestling practice. You betcha. Kids love those.
Thursdays after weigh-ins, man.
You betcha. Okay, Saturdays or Sundays?
Saturdays for the boys. But
wait till you get married. I like Saturdays too.
Okay. Best day of the week?
Probably Fridays.
I go back to Saturday. I love Saturdays. College football, wrestling tournaments,
Perfect. Mama's boy or a rebel?
Rebel. Oh, yeah.
I'm kind of in between. I'm more of a rebel now than I used to be.
Okay, very good. Fast-paced or fast-paced or consistently slow?
Probably fast-paced.
Yeah, me too. I don't sit down much.
Okay. You more of a mental athlete or a physical athlete?
Mental. Yeah.
I think I was more physical.
Okay. How about if you were a coach, how would you have your athletes be? Physical or mental? Which one?
Physical. Like just beat kids down.
I'm gonna go opposite of Clay on this one, that if they don't have mental toughness, they're beat before they walk out on the mat.
Okay. Favorite holiday?
4th of July, probably.
I'm a Christmas guy.
Christmas. Dan Gable or Cale Sanderson?
Probably Cale because I like Penn State.
Okay.
Dan Gable.
That's
my era.
Yeah, that's our era. It's hard to beat that one. Yep. Favorite number?
Dan Gable.
Favorite number?
Number 8.
8. Is there any reason for number 8?
Yeah, my uncle in high school, that was his football number all the time. So, and like he was like a role model, and I always just like number 8 because of that.
Okay.
I don't have any reasoning behind mine, but I've always liked number 7. I don't know why. Anybody says number between 1 and 10, I always pick 7.
That's pretty good. So if you had to do it as a coach when you're picking wrestlers, you put a number behind your back, you put 2 hands? 1 or 2,
1 or 2, 7.
Okay. Favorite move to show that you like to show?
Headlock.
Garbage. I'm a high crotch sweep single guy.
Okay.
Headlock.
That's
used to be my bread and butter back in the day.
yeah. Yep.
Always
Wasn't it everybody's growing up?
What'd you say?
Wasn't it everybody's growing
let me
up?
throw headlocks.
Yeah, and then if you
That
ever
was a
need
rule in the gorilla.
yeah.
Okay. Best wrestler you ever wrestled?
Probably Kyle Berwick. Or yeah, probably.
Mine's a toss-up between Jeremy Welder and Troy Sabat. And they were both in my weight class my senior year and went 1 and 2 in the Greco National Championships in Fargo that summer.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Definitely. You have any more of the build? A couple more questions in there?
No, that I think you covered them all.
Okay. Well,
I got one. I know the answer. I know one of the answers, but I'm going to ask anyway. Favorite college football team?
Oregon Ducks.
The Ducks. Same color over here on the other side. Blair?
I'm a Notre Dame Fighting Irish guy.
Yeah, I knew that.
Oh, you knew that.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty
We're
good.
Facebook buddies.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He
It's
knows.
pain. We've been in pain on the same days sometimes. And
Yep.
so,
Yeah. Oh, college football goes back. I'm a Gator guy. Florida Gators. That goes back.
They're impressive.
I'm big into like uniforms and stuff, and like I kind of dig their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I like the new, clean looking, stuff.
Yeah, definitely. No, okay, guys. Well, I tell you what, my last comment tonight, and then I'll let you guys all make last comments. My last comment is I just want to thank Clay for coming on and spending this hour and a half on Dakota Grappler. I tell you what, we'll do a lot more visiting. You have any suggestions, feel free to step up to me. Can maybe have you on again later this season, see how it's going. Blair, I tell you what, keep up the motivation stuff. I like I mentioned probably to you before, you probably should have a YouTube channel. And just keep the small. I like the little pieces you do, those 2-minute little motivation things you do in the morning. Because I don't know, you're up every morning. What about 6 working out? 5:30? What time you get up?
I get up at 5 every day.
5, and then you get your workout in.
Yeah.
Very good. And of course, Bill, I always want to thank you. You motivate me to keep coming on. You do, Bill. Okay, Bill, you got some last comments?
no, hey, I just want to thank you guys for coming on. I know we've talked about having Blair on before, and I think we've picked about the perfect time. Since obviously we've seen Blair show up on Facebook in the mornings, and so I think we picked the perfect time to get him on. So this has been great to have both Clay and Blair on. Besides that, I just want to tell everybody, hey, keep our heads up. We're hopefully we get this rest of the season back started again, and all we can do is stay positive. Clay, you just keep on doing what you're doing, and here's the one thing we know for sure: your day, no matter what happens with this wrestling season, you got 4 or 5 more. So, you just got to keep your head down, keep grinding, and it'll all work out. So,
Yeah.
Yep. And Blair?
Yeah, there's a lot of uncertainty going on in the world right now, and that's your dad's hilarious. That's one of the things that people need is they need certainty, and we don't have that at this time. But there's that quote out there that says, "Tough times don't last, tough people do." And I'll tell you what, there's not many tougher people out there on the face of the earth than wrestlers. Believe in yourself, believe in what you do, put the work in. No regrets if you're doing that. Win or lose, if you've done the work and you've done 100%, you've given everything that you have, hold your head high, walk with those shoulders back, and just believe that you've done the best that you can do. And I wish Clay and all the guys out in there in North Dakota, coaches, wrestlers, whatever, the best. I hope your season turns around. I would hate to see that happen because we know how hard we work as wrestlers. It's the toughest sport in the world. I don't care what anybody says. But we're also some of the greatest people on the face of the earth. So good luck to all of you guys out there.
Yes. And Clay.
I just want to thank you guys for letting me come out tonight and, talk and, say some words. And like I see my dad's comment about the
Handshake.
And like I kid you guys not, it works. I go I went
Shake
out.
hands left-handed.
Yes, I went out there every match down in South Dakota at Monster Match Nationals, and I put my left hand out, and it threw off every single kid. Like it either made them smile or they're like, "What?" And you know, any North Dakota kid that's watching this, try it. I mean, just give it a shot. It might work because it worked for me. And, you know, yeah, but no, I just want to thank you guys for letting me come out, and thanks for hyping me up or whatever. If you guys saying all that nice stuff, and yeah, I'm gonna keep working hard and excited to get to that next level and wrestle for the Bison and show ND strong.
Okay, well, awesome. Horns up, you betcha.
Yeah.
I tell you what, love it, guys. We'll have a great evening, everybody. Dakota Grappler Live. We're going to come to you again either Sunday or Wednesdays. We're keeping it pretty much Wednesday night, 8 o'clock. If anybody wants to come on, you can definitely get a hold of me, and I'll see if I can squeeze you in. Our panel always can be deep here. We have lots of knowledge out there with the sport. We can always love to hear updates. So again, thanks again, guys. See you next time at Dakota Grappler. Go promote the sport.
See you guys.